front row. Oh, hi, welcome. You're my first one. Say hi in the chat so I know who you are. Hey, Colton. Hey, it's funny. I think I'm going to be forging something out of this hammer you brought me. Thank you again for that generous donation of some old tools. Yeah, I think we're going to be doing a little forging on this, which is it's a bullpen which they use in the ironworkers union. My buddy who's in that ironworkers union, he asked me to make a knife out of one. So I'm going to do that. I'm actually going to bring us a little closer, I think. Whoop. I think that'll look a little better. Welcome, everyone. Wow, everyone came in at once. Well, I mean, like 4 people. Yeah, okay, that looks good. Perfect. We're just going to be doing some forging today. I'm going to be forging this bullpen into a knife. Going to be forging this ball peen hammer into a Warhammer, I think. Have 2 projects going at once. Oh, wow. 54 people. Welcome, everyone. Holy crap. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks again, Colton, for donating. Colton's one of my local subscribers. He donated some old tools and stuff to the channel. I think I'm going to be forging a Warhammer from this ball peen hammer today, in addition to making a knife out of this. Work on both at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and, ooh, let's see, we got lots of messages. Yeah, sounds good. All right. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get our forge. Let me go ahead and get the forge going. Now, I'm going to have to change this propane tank over at some point because it's the one that was almost empty from my last live stream. And here we go. First try. All right. Let's see. This thing is legendary. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, all right. But yeah, I got a new pair of tongs specifically for this bullpen. I didn't have any tongs that were big enough to hold it. So we're gonna use that and throw that in the forge. Start to get that going while I'm gonna put this in there too. I think this will also fit in there pretty well. Yeah. Definitely some fun stuff planned today. I think I'm also gonna work on this knife I did in my first live stream. I'm gonna refine that back a little more. I need to straighten this out, straighten the blade to the tang, do some final finishing work on it, and that'll be a nice little puko for somebody. Maybe for me, sometimes. Yeah, welcome everyone. Hey, Zero Agenda. All right. Sorry if, I don't know if you guys can see the smoke. I have like a little bit of a piece of punk wood going here to keep the mosquitoes away. They're really bad this year. But yeah, this is a one of my outdoor tricks I like to use. I've never used it at home, but my anvil stand here I noticed was pretty punky and falling apart, so I just grabbed a piece of that. Thought it was kind of appropriate. All right. Yeah, we're just gonna wait for that steel to come up to temperature. And then we're gonna start forging. We're gonna get this knife made. We're gonna get a Warhammer made. I think it's gonna be real cool. How many of you guys in the chat are new here? Anyone who's never seen my channel before or found me through live or whatever? Hello and welcome. Rick Groves, welcome. First one, cool. Yeah, we're gonna be doing some blacksmithing. Nothing too fancy. Ooh, that stinks. We got a little bit of the handle burning off out of that ball peen hammerhead. I think there was a little bit of epoxy or something in there. How difficult is it to make a katana sword? It's pretty difficult. Well, if you're traditional about it, it's very hard. You have to use a very specific set of steels. So they use a mild steel, I can't remember the name for it, and then they use a mild steel for the back of the katana, and the edge is a specific type of high carbon steel, which it hardens really well. And from what I understand, traditional katana forging, you quench in water, and the back of the katana will cool at a different rate than the edge. Sometimes they'll put play on the back to make it do that. And it forms something called a hamon, which is differential heat treat, like differential hardening. So the edge will be hard, but the back will be soft, which is what you want for pretty much anything with an edge. I do it with my knives because it makes them tougher. So it's like the edge you want hard and sharp, but the back you want soft and flexible, because that prevents it from breaking. A good katana, if you strike something, it's too hard, it'll bend instead of breaking. Because if it was fully hardened, it would break. New viewer watching from Spain. Hey, welcome. Very cool. I always love seeing people from all around the world joining my streams. It's pretty cool. That's awesome. Whoop. All right. Looks like our first piece is starting to heat up a bit, so I'm going to grab it out. But yeah, katanas are hard to make. I could probably whip one up. It wouldn't be traditional. It wouldn't be like a true katana. Now we get to see how difficult it's going to be to work this steel. Oh, that's not hard at all. Okay, cool. Right now, we're just taking this round shape and we're just going to try to flatten it out. I don't want to flatten it out and work it too much, because I don't want it to thin out too much, because the tip will heat up a lot faster than the rest of it. So I'm going to flatten that out a little bit, try to spread it out a bit, but I'm mainly going to be working this area here, because that's what's going to take the longest. All right, and now we got another piece. That way we can just keep going. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to start by drawing out the round end of a ball peen hammer. I'm actually going to go to the horn. I'm going to use the edge here, start drawing that out. Oop. Yeah, I really like these new tongs. And it's going to little by little come out. I just need to make sure I don't close up the eye on this, the hole here. I want to make sure not to close that up. So I'm going to draw out this into a spike, and this is going to be the face of the Warhammer. I'm going to square it off and make some spikes on it too. Made from sponge iron. Yep. Yes. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Yeah, I can't remember all. It's been a long time. When I first started getting into blacksmithing and stuff, I really wanted to do like katanas and stuff, and I learned all the traditional names for everything, and I learned about all the tradition that goes into it, because I would say that out of all the different places in the world, it's probably the oldest surviving sword making tradition that's remained pretty much unchanged. They were outlawed for a while, but it's just really cool that we have such a long lineage with samurai swords. But yeah, even making the steel is such a specialized thing, and the katana making process is so fascinating, because in that craft, sorry if this is loud, but in katana making, you'll have a guy who does just the polishing, a guy who does just the sharpening, a guy who forges the blade, a guy who makes the steel, and traditionally, you know, each one of those people only do that thing for their entire lives. So it's just a fascinating, beautiful tradition, and it's just so rich with, you know, uniqueness in that way. There was no real like jack of all trades when it came to it. There was just, you know, this is, and even with the polishing specifically, there would be different stages for the polishing where different people would do different things. So it's like the guy who does the finishing polishing, he's not going to be starting the polishing. That'll be a different guy. You may have a guy who does a couple steps. I'm actually going to round this off, I think. But yeah, it's really beautiful tradition, really fascinating. I think that's why a lot of blade makers are so drawn to like Japanese traditional blade making, because it is so rich in that tradition, and it's not like anything else we really have. What are you making tonight? I'm making a knife out of a bullpen, which is, I'll pull it out here in a second, but it's just basically a spike that iron workers use for, from what I understand, they use it for holding up stuff. They'll lock stuff in place like cranes or stuff. I'm not really knowledgeable on it, but it's a very important tool for iron workers. My buddy, who's an iron worker, brought me this and wanted a knife made out of it. And I'm also, with that hammer I was forging on a minute ago, I'm also going to be making a little Warhammer, I think, just for fun. I think what I want to do, this is the bullpen, just a spike, literally, with a little handle at the end. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how wide I want the handle to be, and I think I'm going to isolate the edge so I know exactly where to draw out. Come back just a little bit. Yeah, I think I'm going to, basically what I'm going to try to do is now spread this out, draw it out that way so it becomes a longer blade, or wider blade rather. But yeah, I'm also working on this, a ball peen hammer, turning into a Warhammer just for funsies. This is an idea I had. I had it donated to me by Colton in the chat. He's a local subscriber and a friend. I know, you know, in the real world. But yeah, he generously donated a little bucket of tools the other day. Gonna go ahead and do the Rockstar grip is what I like to call it. Start drawing this out. Yeah. Now I'm getting to a dull red. You can't really see on camera there how dull the red is, but the color is definitely fading. So I'm gonna draw that out into a spike. Front's gonna be squared off, and I'm gonna put spikes on the front. Not really like a historically accurate Warhammer or anything, but it's just kind of for fun. Let's see. Hello, Melissa Gaylord. 2777. Welcome. Traditional katana sword worth? Expensive. Usually they're about $1,500 for a okay one that's not really high end. But I would say you're like, I wouldn't spend anything less than $1,500 buying one. Even that price range is low because there's been a lot of change in the knife world and sword world. Because it used to be, if you saw a sword for less than, $100, it was a bad sign. But the people who were making the, really crappy bad swords, picked up on that. They're like, oh, well, it's too cheap. Man, I really need to rehaft these hammers. But they picked up on that and started charging, a lot. So now it's like a sword that they would have charged $150 for 10 years ago. Now they're charging, $1,000 for it. So, you see that price tag and you're like, oh, $1,000, that must be good quality. But it's really not. And so they're still tricking people. They're just doing it in a different way, which is really unfortunate. And welcome any new people. I can't really look right now. I got to focus on where I'm striking. But once I got both pieces back in the fire for a minute, I'll answer any messages. I think I'm going to switch to a smaller hammer. This one's kind of overkill. At least for that small ball peen hammer. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I think we'll switch to this little guy. Funny story, my Anvil's quieter tonight. It's because I got a big magnet, stuck it to the back. It's a 1,500 pound pull magnet. And it was real dumb. I didn't think to put anything underneath it, but I can't get it off anymore. I tried prying it off with this piece of steel rebar the other day, and I ended up bending it. So that's fun. I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. I wanted it there to silence the anvil, and how that happens is the vibration basically gets absorbed by the, there we go. Gets absorbed by the magnet. So it doesn't shake or ring as much. To adjust the angle here in a minute on that. Sizzle. Cool off those tongs. All right, no new people. But yeah, I wouldn't spend anything less than $1,500 on a katana. I know that sounds crazy, but if I was looking for a good traditional one that's not going to be bad, about $1,500. And it's like, I know I'm not going to be able to pay that ever. So it's like, I'll probably never own that unless I make one myself, which is, you know, I think a little more special. Sorry, I gotta stay hydrated. Last time I got a little dehydrated. Welcome, Dom Bond. All right. This hammer is looking good. Yeah, I think this will be. We're getting there. Yeah, I like this hammer much more. Much faster. Much more controlled strikes now that I don't need to draw it out quite as much. Haven't decided, yeah, because we're just going to draw this out into a spike. For any new people, it's just an old ball peen hammer that was generously donated. All right. Yep, we're just trying to widen out this belly just to give this middle part some width. I'll work on the tip later. Because I don't want to thin it out too much because it's already so much thinner than the rest of it. But we're getting there. That's hot. Sizzle. I don't know if you guys can pick that up on the camera or hear that through the microphone. I think I'm ready to get another piece of punk wood going to keep these mosquitoes at bay. Just gonna pull a piece of this rotten wood from my anvil stand. Just gonna put it in the forge for just a second. And then it'll smoke and smolder. I don't know how well you guys can see the smoke. But it'll smoke and it keeps bugs away. Just a rotten little piece of wood. Nothing special about it. Set that there. All right. Yeah, I need to be better. The anvil's actually getting a little warm. I need to remember to be cleaning my pieces off as I'm working, because I don't want to keep getting sprayed with hot pieces of oxides from the outside. Ooh, sounds like my forge is going. I have another propane tank here already. I was prepared this time. Actually, the guy who I'm making the spike knife for bought a propane tank, which like as part of the payment for the piece. Which apparently propane prices have gone like up since last time I was forging a lot, which is not cool. Kind of sucks. Ooh. Went from $45 to for a new one to $45 for a refill and $75 for a new one, I think it was. Right now I'm just cleaning. See that dark stuff coming off there? I don't know how well you can see it on camera. But I'm just cleaning that off. Not really sure what I want to do with the blade shape just yet. I I think we'll just kind of play it by ear. It still needs to come out a lot more. I'm also gonna, I think, come down a little bit lower. And we're gonna go down to right about there. Just kind of generally mark that for myself. There's those little tap marks there, so I can see where exactly I want to do that. Wow, it's already heated up. That's the nice thing about running two projects at once, is while one's heating, you can do the other. And that's nice because it's a lot more efficient when it comes to not wasting propane. You're not just running for no reason. I might hit my 500 subscribers actually. This episode, I'm gonna do a little giveaway. I'll make a full video about, but I'm also gonna make a short where I think I'm gonna go to a local public place in my area, and I think I'm gonna leave one of my little arrowheads I've napped for someone, you know. Oh, gotta change out my propane, guys. So I'm gonna leave it in my area for one of my local subscribers to find, or, you know, someone speedy from somewhere far away. Sizzle. What I'm doing there, guys, is I'm just dipping this in water because it heats up, and that heat will travel all the way up, especially when I'm forging these big pieces of steel. Change out my propane. Whoa. And my forge should stay hot enough for me to be able to just turn on the gas and it'll just relight itself. You want to make sure your tanks are tight, or your hoses are tight, but not too tight. Let's see. Perfect. I'm actually going to turn that down a little bit. Open it up a little bit too much. I don't want it to be using too much fuel. All right. Looks like we got enough heat on this piece. Go ahead and bring that out a bit. Yeah, it should be, every time I live stream, I usually get about 30 subscribers, which is really freaking cool because I'm, you know, under 500 right now. I don't know how much you guys watch other streams, but there's this guy who's like notorious stream sniper, where he'll find people doing live streams and he'll bring them a Dr. Pepper. And I know I'm not nearly big enough for that to happen to me, but like that's a goal. I would love to be brought a Dr. Pepper by the Dr. Pepper live stream sniper. It's hilarious because, like, look up a compilation of Dr. Pepper stream sniper, and he'll like, it'll just be people like sitting in a really obscure private, you know, restaurant, and then you'll just see the door open up, and he just like sets a Dr. Pepper down and leaves. Freaking hilarious. Really cool. I'm not myself too big into watching live streams, if I'm being honest. But I've seen those clips, and they're pretty funny. I'm gonna round these edges up. They don't need to be that sharp right now. My last, maybe it's either my first stream or my last stream that I did, someone tricked me in the chat Aria Mist said, I think was their name, said that my shoelace was untied. And I said, no, it's not, and looked, and then realized I had been got. Very funny. Start spreading this tip out a little bit more, just so we can kind of see what shape I want to work with. Well, this magnet might be a problem. I can kind of feel it pulling on my workpiece when I get it a little too close to the edge. So it's coming together. I think, I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see. I might do kind of a spear point, because this is going to be a knife for an iron worker. Spear points are really nice, good utilitarian blade tips. Yeah. Whoa, that was a misstrike. You always got to be careful about that. I've seen people knock the entire tail off their anvil, mishitting like that. Yeah, it's getting there. I think I'm going to draw it. I think this section's good. I'm just going to draw the tip out a little bit more and forge it into a spike. It's not going to be the most period accurate Warhammer, but it'll, yeah. I might sell it on Etsy or something, or if someone local wants to buy it, I might do that. Haven't decided yet. She's taking shape. Go ahead and bend her back. Straighten her out there. Losing heat. That's the thing about these anvils, man. They just suck the heat out of your workpiece so fast. And it's even warm out today. It really sucks when you're trying to forge in winter, because like the second you set your workpiece, that's hot. Sizzle, sizzle. Second you set your workpiece on it, it just sucks all the heat out of it. No, you know, I was going to start working on this little knife, because I just need really one heat to heat it up. And shoot. So you can see, I'm going to teach you guys a little trick. So you see how that head is falling out like that? Take another hammer with a loose hand, give it a tap, and it pulls it back to the top. Whew. Nobody clipped that. So now I'm going to go ahead and tap at the top and put this spreader, have this spreader spread out just a little bit more. And hopefully that'll hold it a little bit better. Yeah, that's looking good. Just drawing out the tip of that now. I should, like so. We're just about there. Man, I'm really rusty when it comes to blacksmithing, because I used to have my timing really down. And I just noticed it's definitely a perishable skill, because it had been a couple of years since I had forged before I started doing this channel again, and I've only been, this YouTube channel is only like 2 or 3 months old. Yeah. Definitely gonna have to throw these hammers on new handles. It's just hard to take the time to do that stuff. It's like you always want to do the fun, cool stuff, and you never want to do the things you need to do. But what you want is rarely, if ever, what you need, I've found in life. Stay hydrated this time. I will. I'm trying. Did you have a... Oh, yeah. I for sure did have to build a tolerance to the scale hitting me. Kind of a funny thing. So I used to work at a lot of fast food places, like McDonald's, I mean all of them pretty much. But if you work in a grill area, you kind of build a tolerance to little hot things hitting you. And I would say that's where a lot of my heat tolerance comes from, when it comes to getting popped with little hot things. And that's, you know, kind of funny. So it's like I kind of was already a little bit ahead when it came to that. At least I think that's kind of funny, but yeah. All right, I think we're pretty much just there with this tail end of this Warhammer. I'm not going to do too much to the front, but I'm going to keep this straight for now. I'm going to curve it at the end. I bet this guy is incredibly strong. Yeah, I'm pretty strong, but but yeah, I'm gonna leave that curve so I have something easy to hold on to. I'm gonna square out the front, and I might grind in the spikes. What I mean by that, I don't know. I might go in and get my other Warhammer I have that I bought, but it's like they'll just have. I guess I could just kind of show you on here. I don't know if this will get small enough to hold that. Oh, look, that beautiful. So basically, use this as a little pointer. So with Warhammers, there would be like an X basically cut into this, and then like the parts that stick up are almost pyramid shaped, and that's how you get Warhammers, because it gives less surface area, because Warhammers were forged originally, they were forged for fighting people in armor, like knights and stuff. But they were made for that originally, so they needed a lot of strength. Needed a lot of strength for piercing that. And that lower surface area means more force is driven into a smaller area. Can you guys hear me all right when I'm next to the forge like that? If not, I can just... move closer, or not talk when I'm closer. But yeah, so singe some of my hair off. Whew, stinky. But yeah. Made for hard sheet armor, from what I know. It's like, it's always really funny to think you know something, and then you find out, like, especially in the historical community, finding out that that's like debunked years later and you still believe it's true. Yeah, definitely taking shape. I think I'm gonna widen it out a little bit more, and then I think I'm gonna come in and give it a spear tip, because I think those are just really useful for a lot of stuff. Gives it like more of a combat look and better piercing power. My hair, shut up, baby. My hair longer, little buddy. That's my buddy from outside of work, or out in the real world. Fortnite, little guy. Okay. Oh, there's Timothy O'Keefe. That's the guy I'm making this knife for. Pop down in the chat and say what these bullpens are used for. I know it's for like holding something while you're working on it. Oh wait, were you saying yeah that it's really loud by the forge? I love your videos, thanks. Start squaring out the tip of this Warhammer now. I think this is my, come to think of it, I think this Warhammer is going to be my first non-bladed thing I've ever forged, besides like little things here and there like fire steels. Actually I think it'd be my first like weapon I've ever actually forged as well, because I forge my knives for to be usually like, hold on. I usually forge my knives to be outdoor tools and like woodworking tools. I'm very much a proponent of tools not weapons thing. It's like a hammer, obviously, can be used as a weapon, but this was not made to be a weapon. This was made for this, hammering hot steel. Yeah, okay, I just realized the irony, because I said that this is my first weapon I've really ever forged, because a Warhammer doesn't really have a whole lot of other uses that it's going to be good for. It's not made for that. Yeah, I'm going to definitely have to switch tongs. Now that I've thinned this out, these big tongs are not wanting to hold on to it. I'll just do some small strikes. Square that out a bit more. So you did say it was really loud when I'm by the forge? If we're holding beam in place when it's on a crane, put in the bolt hole to make sure the beam and the iron work. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you sizzle. You for sure could use it as a pickaxe for sure. I mean, you could even bust up rocks with it. But it's kind of ironic though, because I'm taking a tool and turning it into a weapon when I was saying that like this ball peen hammer was made to be a tool, it's not a weapon, but now it's a weapon because I made it that way. Start forging this now into shape. I think we got the width just about where I want it. Timothy O'Keefe, or Tim O'Keefe in the chat there, has given me permission to kind of do what I want with this knife. But since he's here, I'm gonna check in with him. Is it cool? Does it sound good to just, basically I'll just come in and make this kind of like a, not quite a dagger point, but kind of a pinch tip. It kind of comes and turns it, oh, I guess I could show you. Basically this kind of tip, because it's a really useful tool. Yeah, because I got this just now the thickness that I want it to be, because I want it to be thick and a strong blade. Because that way, it's always more fun when you can push it into things that it shouldn't need to do. Sounds good. You do you, bud. All right, I appreciate that. I really appreciate the creative license, because it's like that's the reason I kind of stopped doing custom knives originally. Yeah, these are much better. Was when I was making knives for people in the area, I would do it per person. Like a person would come to me and they'd be like, "Oh, I want a knife." I'm like, "Oh, cool. What exactly do you want? What are you going to use it for?" And the answer, which like there's nothing wrong with it, it's just not my thing. And the answer every single time was, I want a Bowie knife and with a deer antler handle, which is cool. It's fine. It's a very traditional, very cool knife, very beloved in the area. But you make like 10 of them and you're like, okay, I want to do something cool and creative now. You know, but then it's like, it's hard to make time for yourself to make the stuff you want to make. I think this is just about done. I think I am going to grind in the points on this. But yeah, there's our little Warhammer. I'm going to carve some spikes in here. You can actually see how it's starting to create next. I might just follow that. But I'm not really sure how to forge that in. But yeah, I'm going to just curve this end. I'm going to straighten it out. I kind of like the look of the really rough forge, but I do want to smooth it out a little bit. I think rough forge looks are really nice because it lets you show that it's not some, you know, mass-produced, made in China, stamped out piece. It's something that someone made with their own skill and sweat. Sorry if I'm not responding to all the chats. Kind of at a crunch time. I'm kind of where the pieces now are thin enough to where they're heating up fast enough to where I really need to keep on them, or else there's a chance they could get burnt. Yeah, I think that's going to be I think we're going to make that a nice spear point. I think that's going to be really cool. This one's getting to just about where we want it. So we're going to put that back in. Now my hammer's already up to heat because that thinned out end. This is kind of the fun thing about it is it gets faster and faster and faster the more you do it. Because the thinner it gets, the faster it heats. I'm going to put a basic point on this. Flip it over. I think I'm going to kind of make almost like a bladed end on this. Flatten it out. Tap it back very gently. And I'm going to grind the final point on there with a I don't know if you guys heard that pop, but I just accidentally set this Warhammer, this hot piece of steel, on a bug and it exploded. I mean, I kind of feel bad about that. I know it's just a bug, but he was just minding his own business. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So now we got that curve that I want on there. I'll probably shorten that in the end. I don't know, I kind of like that. But yeah, I'll give it one more heat, and I'm just going to go ahead and knock down some of the high spots so it's less rough looking. I love your custom knives, bud. They are awesome, durable, and super sharp. Love them, bud. Yeah, love that. Yeah, I got you. But yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm very proud of my work. I like to think that I make, you know, really good quality stuff. I used to want to have my what's the word for it? Not like a catchphrase, but like my product slogan, I guess is the word, to be something like overbuilt to outperform. But I have since learned a lot more about knives. And it's really hard to find that balance of really a really strong knife and a really well-performed. I want it to be sharp. I think what I'm gonna do, actually, guys, where's my handy dandy point knife? I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna cut a piece here, and then that way it'll separate the blade from the handle, and I'm gonna have it kind of be out like that. So that way it's a built-in guard, because I'm not putting handle scales on this. Once this is done, this is basically done. Except for the grinding and everything and the final works. But that way there'll be a nice place if you know you're like pushing on something and cutting something and pushing really well. It's like I've got this finger well here to kind of prevent my finger from slipping. I think I'm gonna put something like that on here just to kind of make it a little safer for Mr. Timothy O'Keefe. Yeah, Colton, thanks again so much for the donation of the tools and stuff. He brought over this whole bucket of stuff. That's kind of hard to see, but yeah, I got like a bunch of little tools and stuff I can mess with there. He said he's got more for me, so it's like I always welcome scrap steel to mess with. All right, that definitely got way too hot, but we're gonna go ahead and do the final little clean up taps. I haven't decided if I want to keep it. If anyone's interested in, almost dropped it on my foot. If anyone's interested in this piece, especially someone local that I don't have to ship it to, save someone on shipping. If anyone's interested in this Warhammer, I'll probably make a video on putting it on a handle. It's just, it's not really interesting for live streams that much. But I'll probably, I don't know. I've got a Warhammer already. So, I mean, I kind of wanted to make one because I saw that ball peen hammer in here, and I'm like, I could make that into a little mini Warhammer. Yeah, that's looking good. I'm interested, but oh yeah, heck yeah. All right, yeah. Yeah, you were the first to say something, so you'll get first dibs if you really want it. I'm gonna go ahead and not set it there. I almost messed up last time. I'm gonna set that there, let that cool off, get that ready for final grind. So that's going to be the spine. I need to get a blacksmith or make one hardy tool. Where? Sizzle. Wow, that's real hot. Oh, there's my axe. My handy dandy cutting axe. Grab my wolf jaws. Hold that from the side. Ooh. Actually, I think that'll mess with the sheath too much. I think maybe I'll just kind of well it out right there so it kind of just tapers out to give you a little bit of a finger guard. Or you could promise to just not stab stuff with it. But I understand if you want to stab stuff with it. Knives are fun when used responsibly. For any youngins watching out there. Yeah, I think I am gonna grab one of my other hammers. Yeah, you. Yeah, I think I will. Kind of draw that point out there. I needed to get my axe out anyway so I could cut the tip. Maybe I'll have a little bit extra to make something like a little extra tool or something, or fire steel. All right, 48 people watching. Wow, hell yeah. Pardon my French, parlez-vous français. But yeah, anyone, not really sure what my battery's looking like, but I don't have too much I want to do. But when I'm done with these two projects, if anyone's interested in watching me make some more stuff, just let me know. All right. Yeah, there we go. You go away, you come in. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to come to the front here, corner of my anvil. Gonna just kind of tap, tap, tap. Really need to round off these corners. This anvil, or this hammer, bites pretty hard. I really need to round that one out because you can see the nice round edges on there. It's not very sharp. It just doesn't leave big gouges like that other hammer does. I'm so tempted. I might throw another piece of, no. Wow, that thought's gone. Wow. Whew, gotta love rain fog, everyone. Let's hear how hot this is. Sizzle, sizzle. I don't know if that's gonna be like a thing for this channel or something, but it's fun to say. Yeah, while that's heating up, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this little knife I made in my first live stream. Little itty bitty guy. Go ahead and throw him in there. Work out some of the finishing stuff on there. Last time you saw it, I had done a normalization cycle on it, and I think that was the time I had to go inside because I overheated and got dehydrated. Ended up getting a really bad migraine the other day when I was going to stream. Let's see. Zero Jenna said, like and subscribe, everyone. Giveaway at 500 subscribers, almost there. Yes, I am really close. It's awesome. I can't find a lot of videos with actual forging. Be a thing. It's a thing now. Yeah, heck yeah. Talking about this piece is so small. I mean, it heated up. You saw how much faster it heated up than the other piece. The other piece is almost up to temperature. I'm just gonna go ahead and tap, tap, tap. Straighten out the back of this. I think that looks pretty good. Then we're gonna go ahead and set it in here. Tap and straighten it. I think it looks just about right. I can always forge that last little bit, or grind that last little bit into perfect shape. I'm not quite so good a bladesmith that I can perfectly forge it to shape like some of these guys can. But I'll get there eventually. The more I practice, the more, I'm on this channel doing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just about good for this little guy. It's got to do a couple normalization processes on it, which is where you heat it up to critical temperature and let it cool down to either no color, or I like to let it get to room temperature. Depending on what kind of piece I'm working on. Like this Warhammer is about ready to start getting I'm gonna heat treat it. I'm gonna show you guys the fun, you know, dip it in oil, watch the big fireball come. Oh, that really sucked. That's a first. Got a piece of forge scale right in the eye, like the eyeball, not the eyelid. Big piece of forge scale on there. Good reminder to work with this. Grind off that. I just kind of like to leave it on because it makes the final finish look a lot rougher, especially with a knife like this. You know, it's not going to have handles. It's going to be a full solid piece. I really want it to look handmade, you know, because it is. Get that back in the heat. Oh, my knife. All right. Yeah, if you're not careful with some of this stuff, you can melt it, and you'll know, because when you pull it out of the forge, it'll sparkle. It'll like drop little pieces, and that's just rapidly oxidizing melted pieces of metal. Do some light finishing work on that, just to straighten some stuff out, because I know it'll make putting a handle on this a lot easier. Yep, that was good. That was crazy. Getting one in the eye and then getting a really big one on the hand. Not even a couple seconds later, I'll show you guys the aftermath of that. I'm also, because I'm not holding my hammer very well, I'm also getting a blister there. It's fun stuff. So I'm gonna let this go ahead and normalize now. Throw this Warhammer back in. Let that get up to critical temperature, let it cool down. But yeah, I'll show you guys what happened. I got popped with a piece of forge scale. Right there, you can still see some of it on me. It's just kind of embedded in my skin. Wow, my fingernail's dirty. See where it burned me there. Nice little blister coming in there. I don't think anything's still in my eye, but I got popped in the eye. I think it bounced off because when metal is too hot and it touches something that's wet and cold, but at least in comparison, you know, because it's several thousand degrees, it won't touch it. Which is why whenever like you dip something in water when it's hot, it doesn't actually touch the water because it creates a steam jacket. The water that touches it instantly evaporates. And hold on. The water that touches it instantly evaporates and makes a shell around it that makes it to where I did not learn my lesson. I'm gonna go ahead. Rub all that scale off. Let's see if we can do this the old-fashioned way, not knocking over my anvil. Yep. Straighten her out now. Actually, I don't think it's that I'm holding my hammer wrong. I've got a little nick in this handle, and it's just biting into my hand. I flipped it around. Now it feels so much better. Yeah, I think we're about to cut the tip. I kind of, in my mind, can see where I want it to go. It'll be almost like a clip point buoy. Oh, there's a little piece of grass that got like carburized on there. Yeah, I think I am gonna heat that. And that Warhammer's just about ready. I'm just gonna quench the spike. I'm not going to do it this heat, but I'll show you guys how I do quenches. So I have this old ammo can. This old 50 cal ammo can. And I know I've seen a lot of blacksmiths do this. Wow, that is stuck shut. but it's just full of vegetable oil. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting that heated up. Vegetable oil is important. There we go. But yeah, it's I almost just dumped this whole thing. I always like to pull that off, the lid off. Yeah, this is about half full of vegetable oil. I think I'm gonna put it in front and then let you guys see whenever it gets to that point. I'll just like kind of tilt you forward. It's kind of exciting. So what you'll do to get that, yeah, so I'm gonna let that go ahead and cool off in the air. Get down to having no color on it. Do a little more work on this guy. Tap. I'm gonna keep that tip robust for now, because I'll lose a lot of it when I go to cut it. Yeah, I think that handle's looking good. Kind of want to taper in a transition on this handle so it's more comfortable in hand. I can always do the finalization of that whenever I go to grind it. So you square it up. Yeah, that's fun. Stop working it cold. Yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty sick looking knife. You can see that starting to blister up. I don't notice it until I stop moving. It's always fun to get so drawn into a project that you don't notice when you're getting hurt. Put some eye protection on. No, I'm just kidding. I might. It's looking good. Yeah. More work, more work. Yep. Welcome, awesomer. Awesomer? Yeah, I might put on some eye protection. It's just really hard being a bigger dude because I sweat a lot and they fog up like the second I put them on. Snarfins, you to go and take care. You know what, actually, I don't know if anyone told you, but when you go to the bathroom, you can bring your phone. Pro tip, it saved me a lot of bored moments. I would not at all be surprised to find out that a decent number of the people watching and commenting are on the toilet right now. Would not be at all surprised. I'd be like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I think this is going to be awesome. I think I'm going to take a ball peen hammer and put some nice hammer marks in. But I think what I want to do next besides shape this handle down a little more, is I want to cut that tip, just because it's got that extra long little bit. I need to get a bigger forge so I can really adjust where I'm setting stuff down at. Ooh, burning my eyebrows off. Caught a little bit of my beard on fire just now. Maybe. Yeah, let's see. I can feel myself. I mean, I guess if that's your thing, you do you, bud. Sizzle, sizzle. I'm actually gonna do an old old trick. I'm gonna soak the head of this in water for a second, just so it swells up in that hammer. So I'm gonna use a different pair of tongs, a different hammer, and I'm gonna use this axe to cut the tip in. Gotta be quick about it because the heat goes quick. Ooh. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start. Should have switched hands. I'm using my non-dominant hand to hammer with. I don't know why I'm doing that. Now when you do this, you always want to make sure that your cutting tool does not jump out of the cutting hole before you do your next strike. So it's better, especially with something like this. You know, I've got a custom commission. Definitely gonna take more care doing this than I do for my knives, for me. It's kind of the funny thing. Show you guys kind of the form factor we're going for. It'll be a little different in the end, but you can see that cut there, so you can see kind of the final shape. It's just gonna, I'm gonna bring the tip down just a little bit more. I think that's working pretty well. I set a piece of metal down. Now I have that piece resting on it, so maybe I don't need a bigger forge. Maybe I'll be cheap. Let me know, I may be able to send you a new forge. No, that's not necessary. That's not necessary. This one's fine, I got it figured out. I appreciate it though. Now I'm gonna tell you, Timothy O'Keefe, this is going to be very handle heavy, just kind of based on the nature of, you know, solid metal handle. But it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a manly knife. I'm gonna start heat treating my Warhammer again. Now that it's gotten down to a cool temperature. All right. Need to be quicker about this. Oh, I had it this way, that's right. Now it's deep enough, I'm not really worried about it. I don't want to cut through it all the way because I don't want to fling off in my yard and light my grass on fire. I want it cut most of the way, and then I'll use my raw brutish strength to just bend the tip off. Whoops. Yeah, you can kind of see. I'm gonna get this back in real quick, get it one last heat. Woo, there goes my knuckle hair. All right. Dropped it. That's why we call it drop forged. Again, I'm just heat treating that end. So that's 3 normalization cycles. 3 is the best number for normalization cycles I've found. I think a lot of other people would agree with me. So next one, we're going to quench that. I'm good with it. I hope you're having fun with it. I sure am. Yeah, my grass was on fire. Don't talk about it on sensitive. Gosh. All right. I don't know who's in charge of us getting rain here in Missouri, but you need to get on it. All right, bring it closer. You can see where I made that cut. Just gonna go ahead and wiggle that off. I might be able to make a little kiridashi, which is a, get the metal fatigue going. There we go. Gotta do a little bit of shaping. And straighten her out a bit. Better get a bit bent when I was doing that. That's okay. I might go hot grind this tip. Because I don't want it to include, kiridashi is a little, by the way I said that, I didn't explain. Kiridashi is a little single-edged knife that actually, back on the katana thing we were talking about earlier, they're used traditionally for marking. It's just like single edge, so if there's a piece of wood and you want to mark a line, you would run across whatever you're using to mark and cut a very shallow cut, and since it's flat, only ground on one side, you can put that flat end against a flat piece of metal, usually for the sheath making for katanas and for the handle making. And you mark, sizzle, sizzle. That's hot. I watched a fly land on that almost, and he changed his mind last second, thankfully. There we go. But yeah, wow, don't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, kiridashis are little marking knives. They're just like a little itty bitty knife, which I think I might make it out of the end of that. Just because it'll be a kind of nice partner for this. So it's like, this will be good for like big, you know, heavy duty tasks. That kiridashi, a little itty bitty knife. Ooh, yeah, I think that's looking nice. That little tiny knife that'll accompany it, I think would be a good combo knife. Little partner to this big knife, so that way you can still do little fine stuff. Yeah, I'm liking that tip, actually. I was going to do a spear point, but that upsweep, a little bit of a clip point with an upsweep, kind of looks nice. I think we're just about ready to start normalizing this. I just want to get some final work done on it. Kind of want to get this transition a little nicer. Oh yeah. I really need a good blacksmith hammer. Like, I've got all these old antique ones, but I really want to get like a really nice custom made one, and I don't have the ability to move. You know, you can see I'm all hand forging and everything, so that's tilted a little bit that way, so we're going to get another heat on that right where I want to bend it, and we'll go ahead and give it a little bend back. But yeah, I really want like a nice, like, Alex Steele on YouTube has a channel. Oh, I thought I lost my mic, but it's all the way up here. He sells Thomas Wendell. Cool. Hey, welcome, Thomas. Another local subscriber. Let me know if you need anything. I'm good, man. I should be able to actually finish this up probably in the next day or two. So the knife, and then I'll work on the sheath. I don't know if working on sheaths is interesting enough. Like, would you guys want to watch how I make sheaths like live? Because I kind of did. I did a video on it. I just finished recently on how to make knife sheaths. This one's going to be way different because this is such a hefty knife that it's going to need a special sheath. So I'm just barely gonna bend this. I'm actually gonna put that down in there. Nope, that'll go all the way through. Tap, tap, tap it. There we go, that's looking straight. I think we're gonna start normalizing this. I don't want to thin it out too much because I don't really know, I've never worked with this steel before. And each steel goes a little bit, works a little bit differently. I really like the brute forged look of this. Yeah, I think we're gonna start normalizing it next. So I'm just gonna let it get to critical temperature, real hot. That would be interesting. All right. But yeah, so excellent. Yeah. So maybe I'll do that on a future live stream. I'm gonna do, because this is for one of the local ironworkers unions members, Timothy O'Keefe in the chat there. I'm gonna do some cool stuff on the sheet, some leather embossing. I'm gonna go ahead and start moving this back and forth in my forge, just so it heats evenly without getting one spot too hot. I'm not worried about the handle. I'm just worried about the blade itself. Luckily, I've got this giant magnet now. Yeah, so I can see that that's up to temperature. I'm gonna go ahead and let this start cooling. And then I think we're gonna go ahead and quench this, Warhammer. So to do that, it's gonna throw it back in the forge. Let that heat up. Now I got a minute to chat with you guys. But yeah, if you guys are interested, I'll definitely do that. It's a lot of, it's like basically I'll show you I'll show you the thing. If anything, I could always make it another video. I just don't want the stuff to be too disjointed, you know? I don't want to be like, oh, here I am, quenching this thing I made on a live stream that nobody knows about in my normal YouTube. So go ahead and bring you guys down here. You see that? Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and start letting that get up to temperature, which actually, I was a fool. I forgot to preheat my oil. Let's see, and to do that, what I usually do is I just throw a piece of junk steel, so I'm gonna use this rebar. I'm gonna let that get up to, get that hot, because you want the temperature of the oil to be at about 350 degrees, and the reason for that is you don't want a steam jacket to happen. Oh, sorry. You don't want a steam jacket to happen. Basically, so it'll be too hot and it'll just evaporate the oil and everything that touches it, and it won't cool the steel down fast enough for it to harden. So you want to get it to about 350 degrees before you put it in, because that makes the oil softer, more viscous, I believe is the term. And that means that it'll have better contact. It'll have better contact with the oil and transfers energy out of the piece of metal into the oil faster. I think I actually need to pull out. We'll do one more normalizing cycle on the Warhammer. Let that cool down, because I got to get this metal hot enough to throw in the forge, or in the oil. Is me giving you telling you about how forging works, is that interesting? You just want me to talk about what I'm working on, or? Tom's dad here too. Big Tom. Welcome. I used to work with Big and Little Tom. You know, if I recall correctly, I think Big Tom, I think you made a knife. I think you showed me the Bowie knife, which is real cool. Always cool to see other people who make stuff. So, this piece is just about hot enough to, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in here. Ooh, flash of fire. Ooh, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna move this around. Try to dissipate as much heat in there as I can. Warm this oil up. And for, you know, this Warhammer, it's not really gonna matter that much. You want basically the most, you don't want the whole thing to be cool or hard. You just want the very tip of the spike, because otherwise it could snap off. So we're doing a little fast and loose with this one. Let's see. It's all awesome information, very knowledgeable. You make it easy to understand. Great work. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thomas Wendell. Yeah, I remember that knife. That was pretty cool. I think you showed me that when I first started making knives, in fact. Alright. Now we'll play the waiting game. Just waiting for this to heat up. And while this is hot, I can go ahead and start quenching my other stuff too. That knife just needs one more heat cycle and it's ready. The little knife, not the big knife. The big knife's gonna need 2 more heat cycles. You want to do 3. Speaking of, I'm going to go ahead and throw that little guy in there. Sorry about the noise of the forge. Make sure my piece of rebar is not getting too hot in the part I want to handle. Heat her up again. You can kind of, once you do this for a while, you can kind of feel, when you move stuff around in the oil, you can kind of feel where you want it to be. Like I wiggle it side to side, and the easier it goes in the liquid, the easier it moves around, the closer it is to where we want it. It's so important to have multiple pairs of tongs. And it's really interesting because tongs are such an important, hard to make thing when you're blacksmithing. There's myths. I think there's a couple different myths about how the first thing that was, I can't remember the denomination. It actually might have been the Hebrew people, the Jewish people. They had a myth that on the very last thing that God created after he created the heaven and earth, last thing he created was a pair of tongs so that the first people could blacksmith, because it's so hard to make a pair of tongs without a pair of tongs. Kind of like how it's hard to find your flashlight without a flashlight sometimes. I think there's a couple myths. I think there's a couple out of Africa that are similar, that blacksmith tongs were some of the most, you know, sought after magical items, quote unquote magical gifts from the gods. We're actually going to put an L curve in this so I can just dunk the whole thing in there, get more heat in there. It's a little bit faster. Perfect. Got that just the right size to be able to fit my forge. Yeah, anyone got any questions or anything? I haven't been able to read because I got you tilted down. Just got me a nice and old anvil in Texas. 80 to 100 pound good shape, 65 bucks. Wow, that is a good price. Heck yeah. Were you down there for the rattlesnake roundup? Got something on my nose, can't be seen. Being a hot mess in front of a forge. Everyone knows this is a beauty influence channel. Perfect. Yeah, there we go. That's just about where I want it. So we're gonna go ahead, just set that in there. Set that in there. We're gonna go ahead and put that Warhammer back in. It's cooled down enough now. You gotta see all the fun fire flash. Yeah, blacksmiths, it's really interesting because it's like they're looked down on a lot in like historical contexts. There's a story about a king trying to figure out who should sit next to him of all the craftsmen of the land. And he goes to the goldsmith and he says, "Very cool, what do you make that I use in my palace?" And the goldsmith says, "Well, I make your beautiful rings, your beautiful jewelry. You know, I keep your women beautiful with beautiful pieces of jewelry, pendants." And he says, "Oh, all right, I'll consider that. Well, who makes your tools to do that?" He said, "Oh, well, the blacksmith does." He says, "All right." And he goes to the woodworker and he says, "What do you make that makes my castle better?" And the woodworker says, "Well, I make the tables and the chairs you sit at your grand feasts. And I make the frames for the doors and the doors themselves." And he says, "Well, who makes the hinges for the doors?" He says, "Well, the blacksmith." He said, "Okay, well, also, who makes your tools?" The woodworker says, "Oh, that's also the blacksmith." And, sorry, I just got to move this piece a little bit. Just about ready to quench. Then he goes to the upholsterer and the tailor, and he says, "What do you make that serves me in my castle?" And they say, "Well, we make the curtains and we make the clothes that adorn you. We make the beautiful tapestries that adorn your halls and tell the story of your kingdom." He says, "Ah, well, who makes your needles and your tools?" Again, the blacksmith. So he goes to the blacksmith and he says, "What do you make that adorns my castle?" I said, "Well, I don't make much. I just make, like the candle holders and like some curtain rods." And the king eventually chooses him to sit next to him because he was so important for everything else. He was the most important craftsman in the kingdom. Not to like self-important, but it's interesting how many myths about blacksmiths there are and superstitions. All right, here we go, guys. Quench, money shot. Up temperature, put it in, move it quickly. We want to move it around. We're just cooling off that tip. We don't want to quench the rest of it, especially not the eye hole of the hammer, because that will, it'll make it too hard. That was not as exciting as I thought it would be. Sorry for the, sorry if that was disappointing. Now that it's not up to temperature, we can see the end there. It's cooled off. I'm gonna go ahead and put the whole piece in there. It may flare up again. I'm actually just gonna leave that down in there. So let it cool off the rest of the way. Man. All right, I'll bring it back up with me. Woohoo, this tripod sucks. Just about lost you guys. All right, let's check. Perfect. Actually gonna tilt you over a little bit more this way. Maybe you can see some on my forge. You can see my propane tank at least. Yeah, well, let me see what everyone's saying. Every March, brother, I'm a guide now. Oh, very cool. Sweetwater JCs. Have you heard the suggestion that Smith is popular last name because they didn't have blacksmiths in battle as often as the others? That's why it's such a common name. What's your thoughts? Wow, that makes sense. Welcome, Narkle Sagan. I hope I said that right. But yeah, I've never heard that. But here's my kind of counter argument to that theory is there's all kinds of smiths. Silversmiths, goldsmiths, blacksmiths. I don't think bladesmiths would have had a different name back then. But I think this is pretty much cooled off, but yeah, there are lots of different kinds of smiths. Locksmiths as well. Like I'm also certified locksmith in Missouri. Not that you need a certification in Missouri, but I've done all the training and everything. So we're gonna go ahead and get this on its second treat. Heat treat. Second chill out. I think I'm gonna work on this little kiradashi thing I might make. Because it's already kind of the right shape. Yeah, all kinds of smiths out there, but yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, the blacksmiths were very important, especially for wars, you know, because they were the ones making all the weapons. Oh man, I need a tool stand. All right, we're moving the piece back and forth, making sure the even heat is from the tip of the blade all the way to the handle. We don't need to really worry too much about the handle itself because that's gonna be fine. All right. Second heat treat on that, or second temper cycle on that. We're gonna go ahead and work on this little kiradashi. It's basically gonna make like a little utility blade to go with the big one. Start by drawing out the butt tip, because I mean the tip's already basically the shape I want it to be. I might make it a more normal knife. Touche, LOL. Yeah. But yeah, no, I've never heard that. That's a super interesting theory, and it could 100% be true. I believe that. I'd 100% believe that. Sucks. Shoot. I just dropped my piece, my knife I'm working on, a little baby knife. It really sucks because it's like after the Industrial Revolution, blacksmiths pretty much died out for the most part. It's like there are some people that did it for a while after. But for the most part, I mean, the craft almost completely died out after the 1800s. I mean, we still have really specialty stuff like farriers, which my father-in-law is a farrier. It's very cool. That's making horseshoes for horses. It was really interesting, which is really funny because speaking of the Industrial Revolution, we went from cars being for rich people and horses being for poor people, and now we're at horses are for rich people and cars are for poor people, because horses aren't really important anymore. There's not really, they're not important, but they're not the same as they used to be. A really small work piece, because it used to be, you know, you'd use it to plow fields. They were beasts of burden. They were your travel. They'd pull buggies. That's how you'd get places. Now it's basically a luxury. Kind of show you what I'm working on here. Little baby knife. We're just going to keep that tip same shape. I'm going to draw this out and then be able to put a handle on it. And it's already basically got a sharpened edge on it. So I think that's going to be cool. Cool little addition, little extra freebie to go with the big knife. He was nice enough to commission for me. Jesus loves y'all. Oh, what a positive, bright message. It's really nice. I think I've got a pretty good positive community behind this channel. It's really awesome. I don't really see a lot of hate comments, which I'm so thankful for. You know, and not that it would really bother me. I'm an internet native, you know. Us millennials grew up on the internet. God, I hate referring to myself as a millennial. We grew up on the internet. We came up with it as it came up. So I think I've got a pretty thick skin. I've gotten some criticisms, which I would say the criticisms have been valid. So I mean, it's like, and I've responded and stuff. I mean, I don't let trolls get to me. I know what trolling looks like. I never let that bother me when I see it. But I've been really lucky to have a really fantastic, really kind, cool community. Like one of the projects that Warhammer I just worked on right here was donated by one of my subscribers and one of my friends locally. Wish I can come up here now. But yeah, it's been really cool. I've had so much really awesome support. Sorry, I keep looking up. It just keeps getting darker. It looks like it's gonna rain, but there's no clouds. It's just getting dark. Yeah, I've been really lucky. Before heat treatment, you should definitely put a bar of soap on the barrel, then dip it in fire and oil again. Good luck with tempering. My friend, you'll understand. Bar of soap on the barrel? I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what you mean by the barrel. I'm sorry. Maybe it's a typo and I'm just not understanding. There we go. These little pieces, they heat up fast, but they lose temperature so fast. So you get a couple good hits before it's either dull red or completely gray. Yeah, anyone who's new is forging this little piece of steel into a Kiridashi, little hidden tang Kiridashi. This is a piece of a bigger knife I cut off. Yeah, let me know what you mean by barrel. I'm not real sure because Are you talking about the hole that the Warhammer hole? That'll be just about good for this little guy. I'm just gonna forge in. I think I'll grind in the bevels. It's already got pretty much a half bevel ground in. We'll do some normalizing on that. Speaking of normalizing, take this little Puko style knife. Pretty much ready to go back and forge, get that boy up to temp. I think that was the last normal. Yeah, because I've done it twice. The small knife makes me think of an arrowhead. Maybe you should try making arrowheads unless that's more of a mold technique. Yeah, this is gonna be like a AB little guy, but yeah, I have made arrowheads, but yeah, it's very close to an arrowhead design. I could even it out, but I'm gonna leave it. Look up, I'll kind of show you what I mean. Well, I mean, I can't really show you, but look up Kiridashi, K-I-R-I-D-A-S-H-I. Look that up and you'll kind of see what I'm going for. It's a utilitarian knife. It's like a little, basically like a better, oh, I was going to quench that. Basically like a better razor blade. It's just thicker and only sharpened on one side. Another quench, straight in, back and forth. Don't want to get the tang hot or cool too fast because that'll make the knife a little less durable. Definitely tell by the feel that this is still a good temperature. It's a thin knife. I'm worried about it warping a little bit, but that's why it's good to leave a little bit of meat on your knives before you quench them when they're this thin, because you can correct the warp, which doesn't look like I really needed it because that looks fairly straight. Oh, it's definitely got a warp, never mind. But yeah, it's mostly, I can correct that mostly in the tang. But now this should be hard. We're gonna set this guy here. I think we're just about done with this live stream. Pretty much set out to do everything I was gonna. I'm gonna do one more normalizing cycle on this big boy. And then before I quench that, I'm gonna take it to my belt sander. Do some rough grinding on it before I quench, because once it's hardened, it'll be a lot harder to remove steel from it. Whew. Yeah, thanks for everyone who tuned into this live stream. Really appreciate it. I'm gonna go ahead and move this knife back and forth. You know the drill at this point. Move it back and forth, actually. Straighten it out a little bit before I do my final one. Heck yeah. I think she's looking good. Yeah. Go ahead and get this. Last heat treat, or last normalizing cycle. We'll do some grinding on it. I'm excited to see how many subscribers I'm at after this, because I usually pick up like 20 to 30 every time I stream. And this one I would say has been one of my better streams. I've got 57 people here right now, but it's like, it's weird how it counts. Because if someone pops in, watches literally a single frame of my video, and then leaves, it counts that as a view. But it's like, I don't think that's very accurate on YouTube's part. You know, what do I know? But yeah, it's like, it'd be really nice to see how many people actually like long-term watch the streams. Because it's like, if I'm not doing good streams, you know, obviously I'd want to know that. All right, up to temp again. We're gonna let it sit out. And then I'm gonna do one more heat treatment of this little Kiridashi guy. turn the forge off, let it cool off. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and let it shut off now because that residual heat will help soften the steel. And boop. Go ahead and close up the propane. Whoa. Let me know if that joke gets old. Sorry about. Close that up. Yeah, and we'll just hang out for a minute. I'll hydrate, chit chat with you guys, answer any questions you guys might have. I think it's just about time to go in. The sun's going down, so it's always darker in real life than it looks on my streams. Just because camera settings, I guess. All right, how hot is this Warhammer? Ooh, she's still pretty hot. We're gonna dunk that in water and I can show you guys how it turned out. Yep, no sizzles, so not that hot. She's still pretty warm, but cool enough to show you guys. Oh. Hello, Virginia Bushcrafter. You kind of came in at the end there. Sorry about that. All right, here's how that Warhammer turned out. It's kind of made, I've never done anything like this, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to make this. It was a ball peen hammer originally. Drew the ball end into a spike, squared off the front. Then I'm gonna go ahead and grind. You can kind of see it's got little peaks to it. I'm just gonna go ahead and accentuate that and grind basically an X in. So that way when it strikes, it has a lot more impact power. Man, I'm really red, wow. Sorry about that. Oh no, I'm dirty. Can't be dirty on my blacksmith channel. I'm in school for blacksmithing and I can't forge weld anything without turning it into slag. Any tips? I unfortunately cannot give you tips on forge welding because I've only ever done it once successfully. My forge, my little cheapy propane forge there, which is just $100 Walmart special, or Amazon special. It's good. I need to block off the doors to get it hot enough to where I can actually, I need to block off the doors with fire brick to make it to where I can actually, sorry. I'm at 491 subscribers, so I'm right there. That's really cool. Whew. I hope I earned some today. I got some blisters coming in pretty good. That one's from slag. It's like the worst I've been burned by slag. Last time I forged, I got this little itty pop there, but it's like you get kind of forge kissed is the term I like to use. I'm going to catch the replay also. Oh, cool. Very cool. But yeah, so if you're turning it into slag, so for forge welds, you need to really make sure, oh, I got ashes all over me. You really need to make sure that the temperature is high. Make sure when you're pulling it out, are you, that's a low boy. Yeah. Yeah, I was at 477. Yeah, I definitely picked some up. But yeah, you want, sorry, there's something going on in my neighborhood. I apologize for the sirens in the background. I live in town, unfortunately. I think I was right down the street. Anyway, so forge welding. Oh. Okay, are you guys still there? Because it just like kicked me off my live stream for a second. Okay, did you guys see that weird blip? Half of my chat's gone now. That's weird. But to the gentleman who was talking about forge welding, when you pull it out, is it sparking, or is it, depending on your region, still 5x5? Okay. Huh. But when you pull out your workpiece, is it sparkling and kind of like shooting off little sparks? Because if that's the case, you're getting your steel way too hot. You're burning the steel. There's a couple things to make a successful forge weld, and it's to clean the metal at a low temperature before it gets really any good color on it, before it gets to your orange even. So a dull red, you'll go ahead and add your flux. And then after that, really light taps in the beginning, just light quick taps to get your forge weld set. And then I would add more flux, put it back in, and then bring it back out. And you can do some light taps in the beginning for one more just to be sure, and then pull it out, hammer it hard, get the pieces really homogeneous. And then I would the way you can tell if a forge weld has been successful is so when you forge weld, for anyone who doesn't know, forge welding is when you take two pieces of steel. I'll just use my hands. Two pieces of steel. I got a piece of steel here, piece of steel here. Clean up anything on the outside. You set them on top of each other. You can either wrap a piece of wire around it or weld it temporarily. And then you get it up to a really high temperature. You want it like bright yellow almost. And you can kind of see, depending on your region, depending on your atmospheric conditions, humidity will make like an almost steam come off of the steel. It's kind of hard to explain if you've never seen it. It almost looks like a smoke coming off, but it's not. It's made from the heat waves and the light from the steel, if that makes sense. If anyone's seen that, tell me if I'm crazy, if that makes sense. But that's kind of what it looks like. You want to kind of look for that when you pull it out, because what it's doing is burning off I believe it's burning off the humidity. But whenever you do that, you put a flux on it, which a flux, usually it's just borax, which is a soap, but it can withstand the high temperatures. It melts and keeps oxygen from getting to the steel. And when you prevent the oxygen from getting to the steel, it won't rust. Well, with the extreme heats, because the extreme heats makes it oxidize, is what it's called. Rust is just iron oxide, so the irons in there are oxidizing. And when you have two clean pieces of steel and they're at a high enough temperature, I think it's 2200 degrees, I believe. Fact check me on that. The molecules and the crystalline structure of the steel loosens up. So when you smack it together, it weaves it together in a way where it becomes one solid piece of steel. Gotta jump off for dinner. Thanks, I'll catch the recap. I'm about to jump off anyway, so I really appreciate you hanging out for the live stream. Thanks again for the ball peen. Enjoy your dinner. Thanks, cool Warhammer. You didn't know it was going to be a Warhammer, but appreciate the stuff. So yeah, you have a good night. Enjoy your dinner, man. But yeah, you want to leaves and stuff on me. You want to make sure your steel is really clean. Make sure your temperature is high enough, but not so high that you're pulling out burnt steel. Because if you're pulling out slag, it sounds like you're overheating the metal. But yeah, it's pretty much all I can suggest. I didn't even know there were blacksmith schools, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know, is there a program in your area, if you're even still here? Yeah, let's see. I think my phone's just about, oh, never mind, I'm at 80%. Wow. Oh, I have it plugged in. I'm stupid. Ignore me. But yeah, this has been a really fun stream. Sorry, changing some settings. There we go. But yeah, I think we had a successful day forging. I'm gonna go ahead and do some grinding on that big knife. I don't know if I'll make a video about the final product. I mean, I'm gonna do the. Some people said they were interested in watching a live stream of the leather work for that. Catch you on the next one. See ya. Have a good one, Timothy O'Keefe. I hope you like how the knife's turning out. But yeah, I think the next live stream I'm gonna do, I'll probably be working on the sheath for that knife, which it's gonna be a pretty cool sheath, I think. We're gonna do some embossing. It's gonna be a tough sheath. I'm gonna use some good leather, really tough stuff for it. Make it a nice dark brown. But yeah, thanks everyone who tuned in. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna give everyone like can't wait for the final product. Me either. I'm excited. This one's turning out really nice. But yeah, I'm gonna do some grinding on it. You guys will see the almost final product. My eye's doing a weird thing. Oh, maybe it's not. I'm crazy. Yeah, you'll see the final product when it comes to the knife. When I do the knife sheath stream. Yeah. Thanks Zero Agenda for coming and hanging out with me for this. Thanks to all my top commenters and top fans. But yeah, everyone, you guys all have a really great night. Really thanks. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and hanging out with me while I do the foraging thing. You guys are really motivating me to get out here and do stuff, and it's really awesome. Can't thank you guys enough. But until next time, get out in the woods, maybe get out with a forage. Stay safe, and everyone have a great night. Oh.